Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, Sunday, March 30th, 2025, my newest segment of Markets Look Ahead, and we are going to talk about the markets, no doubt about it, but I want to move beyond the markets here. I've been with you guys and girls for a very long time. You know what I'm all about. I'm talking about the economy, the financial system, the financial markets, and pretty much the macro picture as to what affects the movement of cash through the markets. That's basically what I do. However, I try to instill something more in what I believe is a message to everybody. My message is pretty simple. It's the same one that has been told to us since time began, a message of unity, of love, of oneness, not just among each other, but establishing a relationship with the source, whatever that source may be to you, okay? The most important thing, reestablishing your relationship, not just your belief, but your relationship with the Almighty. And now, with that said, look, let's talk about the markets real quick and set the stage for what's going on here. We're getting some pretty ominous signals here from the U.S. dollar. I've been covering this as of late over and over again. The U.S. dollar has clearly it's taken quite a hit as of late, falling off the map. It's not looking like the beacon of light that it once was. It's being shunned in favor of other currencies right now. There's no knee-jerk reaction into the dollar as a safe haven. That says volumes about what's going on here with regard to the United States. This isolationist policy that we seem to have right now, um, the ripple effect of this is going to wreak havoc on the economy and more importantly on we the people, all of us here. We are paying for something that we don't want to pay for. Let's talk about that. Corporate profits right now, in case you're not aware, and please do your own research on what I'm about to say, are near record highs. Corporate profits at record highs. Meanwhile, U.S. small businesses, we talked about this just recently last week, I believe 75% of small businesses can't make ends meet right now. They're struggling. The people are paying for everything via the mechanism of currency purchasing power destruction. That's fostering a massive wealth transfer right up to the 1 and 2% is why it is that corporate profits are near record highs right now. And the faster that the economy and the middle class comes apart, the more profitable these corporations are going to be via the mechanism, again, of artificially suppressed rates, which allows multinational corporations to take advantage of the exchange rate and, of course, profit. And that mechanism is very, very simple to understand. And I think it's a concept that it's hard for people to get their head around. And let me explain, because you're not supposed to know this stuff, okay? Wealth must be taken from one place and moved into another. So what's happening here and why we're seeing a destruction, a methodical taking apart of the current economy and the middle class with it, and then taking the wealth from the economy itself and the middle class and moving it right up to the corporate elite, the 1 and 2 percenters here. That's how the system works. I'm sorry to tell you that, but it's the truth. It comes down to what you all know is the Cantillon effect, the effect of easy money being pumped into the system. It's simply a mechanism of wealth transfer on an epic scale like nothing we've ever seen before. And this is, again, not a phenomenon just here in the United States. If it's a phenomenon around the world, why it's going to affect the United States here and why it is right now affecting us more dramatically than I think people actually prepared for. It's multifactorial, but the American people have become very accustomed to a particular lifestyle built upon, well, easy money, of course, but having the world reserve currency, having the ability to have the United States export its inflation to the rest of the world. This is the truth why the world is turning their back on the dollar right now. It's a unit of debt like all central bank issued notes are. And the mechanism here as the world is de-dollarizing, this is no secret, okay? We've all known about this. The world is de-dollarizing. The world is turning our back on the dollar right now more so than I've ever seen in my nearly 60 years of life, okay? No one wants our products. No one wants our debt. Uh, Currency itself being a unit of debt. These are not units of wealth. Are we on the same page here? And the mechanism of the world de-dollarizing, backing off on the dollar, is creating a um, very dramatic dynamic. That is, all these bills here that are not going to be needed starting to rush back here to the United States and hit you right in your pocketbook, devaluing the currency even further without even lower rates, which of course are a currency purchasing power negative, even without vastly expanding the debt. And this new war that it's almost devoid on the mainstream media. Have you noticed that? Again, this is going on around the clock, unrelenting. President Trump talked about annihilation here, and it's getting progressively worse. It's costing the United States, it's costing you hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. And as we all know, that we've covered here, we are going to see debts and deficits explode here in the United States to heights that people aren't going to believe. Again, people have been deceived. They've been lied to, evil masquerading as light. Pretty much we're on the same page with that here. We're going to cut debts and deficits. We're going to shrink this. We're going to pay off the debt. We're going to find ways to do this, that, and the other. It's not working. It's not even meant to work. This is a grand deception that's going on here, and that should tell you something. We are going to see debts and deficits hyperballoon moving forward like you're not going to believe. And who makes up the difference there? When we run massive debts and massive deficits, does just go on? No. That gap, that deficit must be made up. Who makes up that gap? We don't have a stash of cash somewhere. It's the Federal Reserve who gets in here and fills in that void by adding digits to a screen, and the national debt skyrockets and skyrockets and skyrockets and skyrockets even more. It allows, in this case, Federal Reserve, to get monumentally stronger. Every dollar, any central bank or every unit of debt currency that a central bank is called upon to issue, is allowed to issue, makes them not just slightly stronger, but exponentially stronger. And that strength is sucked from us. Does that make sense to you? It's the most perverted, twisted, diabolic system in the history of the world. And I'm using these words like diabolic here, and I've used words like extort, how they're extorting um, everything from you that they can possibly get. I use these words deliberately. I'm not just saying them because they sound fancy or sound good. I think all of us understand what's happening here. At least I hope so for the most part. There are some can't see it. It's impossible for them to see it. They've been purposely and deliberately been made blind. So what I've done here is put together a paper for all of you. This is in your inbox right now. I want to cover this with you as I usually do. Every week you get a piece of information like this in your inbox if you subscribe to my newsletter, 100% free. My old Substack has been restored. Thanks, Brian. My buddy Brian helped me with that one here. And so has my X. Same day, my account on X. Is there a connection there? I don't know, man. So now I can post on X again, and I can post on Substack. Anyway, my old account has been reinstated, and this is in your inbox right now. And this may be, and I'm not saying it definitely is, I mean, you're all entitled to your own opinion, but one of the most important pieces of work that I've ever done. And I want you guys and girls to have it. And I want you to have it first. Okay, those of you that are on my team here, this thing that we've built together here, this pride of lions, as I like to refer to it. You understand? Anyway, so let me go through this with you, and I really want you to have this, as I said. So look in your inbox, check it out. This is there. Make a printout of it. Read through this, and I would love to hear from you. And you're allowed, people, you are allowed to disagree with me with parts of this or all of it. If you do not see things the way that I do, that's completely fine. I want to hear another side. And that's absolutely fantastic. That's how we collectively get stronger. You understand? Not by carrying the same narrative. You understand? We need different perspectives on things so we can all come together and from that grow. Does that sound correct or not? Anyway, so let me read this to you. When reality is distorted beyond the markets. For over a decade, I have attempted to convey to those of you from all over the world who follow my work here. Again, this is not my thing. This is a collective consciousness is what we've built here. It's telepathic in some ways. It really, really is. I've said that we would be moving into an entirely new system with a new set of rules, an entirely new paradigm. Does that sound familiar to those of you that have been with me? Because I've been telling you this literally going back a decade. I go on to say that time has come in full force. We're there now. Now, I go on to say my work is generally centered around the economy and the financial system and what is driving it, driving the system. Okay. However, I also attempt to instill into these concepts something more. This isn't just about economy and finance. It's much bigger to me. And that's why I'm so proud of what we've built together here. All right, so I go on to say here, as of late, we are hearing from politicians and central bankers who are using an eerily similar language. As an example, the use of words like transitioning, transitory, these are repeatedly weaved into their vernacular. It's almost subliminal. They want you to hear these words. They almost want it to go in one ear and out the other, which I think it does to most people, but they're telling you what's happening and their ultimate goal of transitioning us into a completely new system with a new set of rules and a new paradigm. They're telling you. They always do this. They tell you first. They wait to see if they get pushback. And when they don't, it's almost like a consent of the people. You're consenting to whatever they want to do to you. You understand? This is where I say, what's the solution to what I'm about to read to you? Resist. Resist. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Resist. Let's move forward. In as much as some people will deny what I'm about to say, in my opinion, okay, good and evil exist. You can define good and evil as however you want right now, all right? But these elements or entities, whatever it is, exist. And with that, what we are seeing unfold today, rapidly, I believe, is a kind of moral inversion, meaning what was once universally understood to be right is now seen as wrong and vice versa. It's not just ignorance. I've used this word, which I'm going to say recently as well, and I want you to think about what I'm saying. It's not just ignorance, it's possession. People clinging to falsehoods, not merely as beliefs, but as identities. People are identifying with whatever is possessing them. And what is possessing them doesn't seem to be a force of light. Evil doesn't walk in openly. I think we can agree on this for the most part. Evil does not walk in openly. It deceives. It mimics light. It justifies itself with good intentions. And it gains ground when people become numb to discernment. That's what seems to me to be happening right now. It's going on for a while, no doubt. But right now, It seems to be a pervasive force, however you want to define that force, which is embedding itself deeply into the fabric of us. That's a problem. The line between right and wrong is being blurred. So much so that many no longer even feel when they've crossed that line. They don't see it anymore. They have been made blind. That's what I go on to say. And those of us who do speak truth, what do we're met with hostility, anger, censorship, persecution. I mean, it's an incredible thing. But the more we push back against it, look at what's happening to this channel. We were getting overrun with that. Now that you, and I see the comments, are pushing back against it, they're running away. You want to get rid of this force, whatever it might be, just push back just a little, because the light is blinding to that dark force. They despise it. They will run away. So we're going to maintain exactly what we're doing here. We're surrounded by devils, people. I don't know another way to put this to you. Anyway, today, listen to what I said here. This is super important. Today, across political and ideological lines, this is not a partisan issue, okay? Because people try to turn it into that, and they point at, well, what about this, and well, what about that? What the now? Again, it's a deception. When you see, let's say, a comment talking about, well, look back over there, look over here. They don't want to talk about what's happening now. That dark element that is here with us here does not want you to focus on now. It wants you to focus on there. Okay, that's what it uses. It will creep into you, or at least attempt to creep into you, into your psyche, by saying, well, what about this? And well, what about that? Does not want you to focus on the now. You understand? And forget about the future. It doesn't want you to even believe that you have a future. It needs you to focus on there, not here where we are, or a future. You understand? I think we got it. Anyway, let's move forward. Today, across political and ideological lines, people are sensing a kind of accelerated change, a transition. The same words they're using. Transitory, transition. It's almost hypnotic. Happening in society. We are seeing dramatic changes in government policies, technology, finance, and the tone of public discourse. People know via their God-given intellect that something is wrong. They don't know. This is why I think this paper is so important, because I think it puts a lot of light on what I think is going on here. All right. Things do feel more volatile, more fragile, and less free in many respects, transitioning to a system of maximum control. Does that sound familiar to you? Because I've been telling you that for I don't know how far back you want to go. Which is the very thing I have been repeatedly warning would happen. Now, I outline here, I want you to bear with me on this, a few of the major shifts contributing to that dystopian feeling. I've been referring to this as dystopia as of late. Surveillance and control mechanisms are expanding, whether through digital currency proposals, and we just got a big one from President Trump here, AI monitoring, or limits on speech, as in only one narrative is being allowed. Civil liberties are being tested, eroded, and redefined in new ways, often under the justification, as which they always do, the justification of security, public health, or frank misinformation. Trust in institutions, government, media, even the financial system has continued to break down. Although, what's happening to the corporate elite? Record profits. Well, the middle class, again, it's that wealth transfer effect. People don't realize that they're being robbed blind. They don't see it because they're told to look here. Don't look over there. It's an amazing situation here. The economic picture is increasingly worrisome. More debt, higher inflation, and the vast and rapidly growing wealth gap between not just the rich and the poor, but between the middle class now, which is being systematically wiped out, and the 1 and 2 percenters. War rhetoric and global tension are escalating quickly, especially with Middle East flare-ups. Again, the fact that this is nearly devoid from the mainstream media, they don't want you to see it. They don't want you to think about it. Again, it's a deception. Look over here. Don't look over there. It's always the same. It's always the same mechanism that goes back since time immemorial. And of course, the specter of a larger conflict. Now, this is how I conclude here. The sense that a dark force, however you want to define that, is at work isn't just metaphorical. It's symbolic of a real creeping loss of autonomy, moral grounding, and of course, stability. We're being erased for the most part. Not people like you and I who can see things in their true light. Whether one sees this as spiritual, systemic, or both or otherwise, okay, the consequences are visible, palpable, which I didn't write here. And moreover, in my opinion, this is just the beginning. More and more people are falling through that trapdoor. I've warned repeatedly for as far back as you want to go about trapdoors. Trapdoors are set for you, and they want you to fall through it. And once you fall through that trapdoor, it's nearly impossible to get yourself out of it. And that's what we have. They're games and they're tricks. It's trickery. It's politricks. It's whatever it might be. These trapdoors that they set for you to fall through. I am going to warn you not to fall. Look for them wherever you go, okay? In your mind, your spirit, your soul, however you want to relate to this. It's not a physical thing. Again, I really believe I outlined it right here in a very concise way for all of you. And this is in your inbox, and I want to hear from you on this. Now, again, you're going to see a lot. They're going to try, again, with what I've just read to you. Understand what's going to happen here. In my opinion, this is a lot. There's a lot of light here. There's going to be those that are going to tell you that what you're seeing, what you're feeling is not real. You understand? Realize where that's coming from. It's another deception on a grand scale. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. In my entire near 60 years of life, it's frightening in some ways. But this is opportunity as well. You can look at this thing from fear and whatever it might be. But do you realize the opportunity that we have to lift ourselves up, understanding what people want to know is where the truth is. People don't have flashlight to be able to see these things, but I believe that together we have that light. We're able to shine it on the darkness and it runs away. Okay. But then it may not give up that easily. Some of it will. Okay. Some of that darkness will run away and not come back. Some of it is much stronger and has possibly already embedded itself within you in some way. And that kind of pervasive, creeping darkness may be a little harder to get rid of, but that doesn't mean it can't be pushed out. And I believe you just have to push back just a little bit harder. And again, it comes down to what I've been saying for a very long time now is realign yourself with the source. Understand that, look, man, I'm not a guy here who beats on the Bible or anything. I believe that we all have an inner book. If someone is born deaf, dumb, and blind, okay, or has some type of aphasia or where they can't understand or able to express things, okay, that inner book is instilled within us by the Almighty, okay? Things like guilt are an example of that. You might do a wrong to a person. What you feel that guilt? Where does it come from? What is that? Because it's innately instilled in all of us. Okay, via I believe the Almighty. And as we've been told, again, I'm not a guy that beats on the Bible, but I'm telling you that most people have not even the slightest conception of where God resides or where the kingdom of God resides. Although we know where it is. We've been told where the kingdom of God is within us all. The divine spark is in every single one of us and in every single thing. Understand? Anyway, this is why we have to, look at things maybe from a little bit of a different perspective. And that's why I try to instill these things into my work. And I really know that together, you and I, we're making a very positive difference. And it's more than that. We have to look at this as a way that I've been talking about unification, that we need to come together here. What keeps us at a distance here is referring to each other as you and I. That keeps us separated. It's you and I. No, it's I and I. Okay. Um, the I in Rastafari is very, very profound concept. I and I. You'll hear a lot of Rastas refer to themselves as I and I. I, the first I being the Almighty, second I, themselves here. And when they talk to each other, they'll, instead of saying you, they'll say I. Yes, I. I and I understand you. It's that unity. You understand? That we all need to adopt. Maybe we should all, wherever you come from, it's just these concepts are universal, and they're ancient. Anyway, look, man, I'm not going to go off on any of this stuff here, but I hope I'm making sense to you really with this particular video, and I think it's important, and I feel that this is really important too, guys. It transcends the markets and all this other stuff. We have to understand what's happening to us and why. And I don't see really that there's really enough of us to stop the wheels that have been put in motion right now. Unfortunately, but that doesn't mean that we can't win. You understand? We've won already. We've won already understanding where the light actually is and then seeking a relationship with that light, not just a belief in it. I hope I'm coming across to you guys and girls in a way that's easy to understand, because that's what I'm all about. I really try to think of things in their most basic, rudimentary kind of form and try to make sense of it. And look, man, I am certainly nobody special at all, maybe the least special of anybody, but I have a voice, and I've been given this platform. I didn't create this platform. I didn't create this. Um, we are, again, given things for a reason. I don't know, man. I don't know what else to say. All right, look, I'm gonna stop here. Well, I love you guys and girls. I mean that. Let's try to realize that we are not separate. Although that's how they try to win, by the division, by putting us against each other. Imagine for a moment if we realize that we are all one. We all have the same Father. That we all come from the same source. That, I don't know. I hope that today, that maybe, if I have gotten through to one of you, just one, with these concepts, well then you know what? We've all won. And I think that, and we are all one. Does this make sense to you? Or is Greg really completely detached from reality? We're all just separated by who knows what it is, by oceans, by time, by space. What is it? What do you feel in yourself, in your I and I? What does I and I tell you? What is that? What does that divine spark in you say? Is Greg wrong or is Greg right? I really want to hear from you. All right. Look, with that said, I'm going to let you go because I could go on and on and on with all this. And that's all. All right. Love you guys from the heart. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll cover all this stuff again with regard to the market. And if you guys want to hear more about this stuff here, let me know. All right. We'll lose a whole bunch of people. That might be okay too. All right. That's it. I'll see you in the morning.